The following was recorded in front of a live studio audience at the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe. This is the United Podcast Network.
If you're building a buying, selling a home, the real estate crew's got news for you. At the Real Estate House Party.
With attorney Rick Carter,
Real Estate House Party.
paralegal Kathy Holsthausen,
Real Estate House Party. Come in, have fun.
and comedian Tony V. Now, here's real estate attorney Rick Carter.
Welcome, thanks for joining us here on Real Estate House Podcast.
Is he under there?
I know.
I was looking for him.
No Tony V again. We're getting rid of him.
I know,
It's
that's
false
it.
advertising at this
He
point.
left
there.
his shoes somewhere and he's walking around looking.
That's right. That's right. Suppose he's in Aruba now, and he's going to be back in 2 weeks.
Well,
there, so-
listen, Aruba, Salem.
I know. I think I'd
Toss
go
up.
with us there. So I'm. What did Jonathan call you? America's favorite paralegal. Is that what it is now?
I think that's what Jonathan
Kathy
called
Holsthausen
me.
from Carter
I was
Real Estate
feeling
Law
really
Office.
good.
I know.
Yeah. Thanks,
and-
Jonathan.
And our
welcome.
favorite, America's favorite paralegal, requested to Candice Bagley come back.
Oh.
Oh, she did something. She's
No, it was
Kath-
great because I had so many questions.
I know
but I
you
know we
do.
have so much
I know,
more to
I
cover.
know.
So,
The way Kathy does this, and I've said it before, she forgets there's listeners, and she'll just going to grill you on things how she should stage and take care of her house and so. What we're going to do today? What do you think about this?
hold on.
Oh,
Candice, I saw your last listing, and I have to say you have impeccable taste
Thank
in
you so much.
decorating.
I
And
appreciate it.
I was wondering if you could come up to my house.
see, there I go.
And bring your truck.
I get that a lot.
No, I think you have really nice, clean, nice taste.
She has
I
a good
can't-
eye for this.
Yeah, yeah, and
And-
it's not flashy, but it's nice.
No, it's
things
nice.
that you do things that other people wouldn't do
Thank you.
to make your house look great.
And I even went to the open house
Appreciate
it. You
to
did.
verify all this.
Yeah, I saw the pictures.
It was beautiful.
I did.
And you did. We're going to get to all this, but you even did. You had drones outside
I had a
there.
drone.
You did?
I did.
That
Did you? Were you driving the drone?
No,
Because you need a
I
license
bring in
for
the
that.
heavy operators.
Yeah,
for the
exactly,
drone. Yeah,
exactly.
no,
Yeah.
I'm not qualified by any means.
You did a 3D presentation. You did the whole thing there.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I think this is what we should do. Just start from start to finish
Yeah,
on what the closing process is like from the legal world.
yeah.
And from the real estate world. And this is actually probably great because we've talked about it a little bit over the last few shows, but this will probably put everything together.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I'm going to come up with a couple legal tips right off the bat. First of all, we got to get our real estate team together.
Mhm.
You got to pick up your real estate attorney.
Yeah.
You got to get
Do
your
you know one? Only kidding.
781-944-9222.
Oh, yeah. Toot, 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 toot.
Conveniently located at two locations, 248 Main Street, Reading.
Very good.
One
No,
Veroni
Rick
Way,
Hutt,
Londonderry,
no.
New Hampshire.
Honestly, if you weren't my boss, I'd still think you're a pretty good attorney.
Wow.
Yeah.
She
Wow.
said pretty good.
Yeah, I know.
No, yeah. The thing about Rick is you can reach him at all hours, and
yes, you can do that.
he actually
Well, that's good enough.
thinks outside the box
Oh,
100%
you should see
of
what
the
we
time.
got coming up in 2018.
Yeah.
We got a lot of stuff.
I'm going to put my seatbelt on.
Yes, exactly. So we got our team together.
Yep.
Here's a couple tips. Before you even get to the real estate agent, this is what or actually in conjunction, I would tell that seller to review his title to make sure they have no problems, so that you aren't spending all your time staging, open houses, drones, 3D, and then a week before the closing, there's a missing discharge.
Right.
So
Time and money.
what would our suggestion be? I don't think. Go ahead.
Our suggestion would be if somebody comes to Candace and says, I want to list my house with you, the first things out of your mouth is please contact an attorney, Rick Carter.
Mhm.
He will look at your title and make sure that, so I feel like you'll waste all your time finding a buyer for him.
Yeah.
And then it may take 60 days to clean up a title problem, or it could take a longer or shorter, but I would never take that chance because the listings they're far and few between. I mean, because there's so many brokers out there that I wouldn't take a chance on losing a buyer
Sure.
for your
Or
seller.
a deal, for
Or
that
any
matter.
deal,
I'm wasting
right.
money out of my pocket. I can't be negative on a deal. I'm putting a lot of money out on pictures and drones and Matterport
Right.
and staging and
Right, because you
time.
pay for all
I
that.
pay for everything out of
Right,
pocket.
and you don't get paid until the deal closes.
I sure don't.
So
and to
a lot of
find out
risk.
there's a third person on the deed, they might have bought it with their in-laws years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And if someone just doesn't pull the deed, they forget the fact that there's someone else on the deed that's supposed to be signing off, or has passed
or
away.
passed away, and they didn't think that they maybe had to do the probate of that deceased person. But honestly, probates could take a year, or they could take a lot. Most buyers aren't waiting around for the title to get clear. So that's one of the first things Rick does is he jumps on the registry of deeds, he runs out the title, identifies problems, and then
Because every
take
issue can get
steps to-
taken care of. It's just a timing. So if
So
you
if
hear
you
about it
find
the
out-
day before the
As an
closing,
agent, there's nothing I hate more than when I get a call the week before closing even. Oh, we have a title problem. But don't worry, we're going to rush to clear it up
Right,
before
right,
closing. And
right.
it's like, why didn't
Did it
you
happen?
pull title before this?
And then, but then in the defense of a closing attorney, they may have gotten the title order 30 days prior to. You had the listing 60 days.
Mhm.
Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So in their defense, they're working as fast as they can, but sometimes the lender won't order the title until until everything's almost cleared to close. So it's a timing thing. So when we know about a closing coming down in through our pipeline, whether we've gotten the title order or not from the lender, we know it's closing, and we're going to roll the dice that we're the closing attorney if Rick did the purchase and sale,
Sure.
and we will jump all over it. A lot of people don't want to put the money in, lay the money out. You know what I'm saying? So they do find out at the last minute that there's a problem, and it's derailed.
all right. So there's
many
our,
closings.
there's our
Very
first New Year's Eve resolutions. We're going to do titles to everything that comes in right off the bat.
I love it.
Next-
And it's a title search. It's not just me going to the registry pulling the title. You're doing a mini
Right.
pull,
Exactly.
correct?
Yeah. Exactly.
So it's much more in depth than anything I could do. So no,
Next we
I
gotta-
would absolutely love that.
Next,
Yeah.
we got to
As
call
an
the.
agent.
We got to call the. And I think you probably do this. Got to call the tax collector's office. We probably know what the taxes are, but is there a betterment on the property? Someone might have forgotten that.
Let's explain what a betterment
So
is.
a betterment is when the town goes in and says, "All right, we're going to put in a sidewalk down the road
Or sewer pipes.
or a sewer pipe, anything that's going to be a benefit to your property. We are going to charge you for it. You can pay it off over the next 20 years, but there's going to be a betterment on the property."
I like to call it a special assessment for houses.
Yes.
if you
Yeah,
will.
yeah.
You
I
know,
like that.
same
It's
thing.
I like that. The little twist on it.
But
Yeah.
there's a
Special
couple. But there's a
assessment.
couple ways to handle a betterment. Typically, the buyer will require, depending on what's in the purchase and sale agreement, require the seller to pay it in full, right? Or the buyer may assume that betterment according to the purchase and sale
But at
agreement.
least we know up front what we're dealing with.
But then you'd have to go to the town and get a subordination of that betterment, because if they're getting a mortgage on the property, you have to bounce that betterment underneath the mortgage. So the
Sure.
mortgage is the first priority lien. That, again, takes time, and it takes a conversation. But when you find out there's a betterment, the seller doesn't even know what the betterment is, the buyer, you know what I'm saying? So it's just a conversation. And
So the purchase and sale is going to require that seller to pay that betterment off at closing.
Or not.
And if they've forgotten all about it, then that guy might have to come up with $10,000 to pay at closing.
So how often does this happen? Because I've never had it happen.
It
in
has happened
21
to me
years.
in a couple times.
It has?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, but then you have to almost go back to the drawing board and renegotiate, because nobody's disclosed the betterment, because, again,
It's rare.
yeah. Some towns
very
are-
rare.
Mm-hmm.
So
Some towns have like the Wakefields and Reddings, and those guys typically have betterments, or not.
So there's our couple legal suggestions. Now we got a question for you. Do you suggest, and we've heard different thoughts on this, do you suggest a seller do a pre-home inspection of the property to kind of negate things that show up? And it's a tough
question.
So we've heard some, they say, well, why don't we do our own pre-home inspection, find out what issues might come up
Fix
from the buyer,
the issues, or
disclose it. Say, listen, we're selling it to you for $500,000, but we know there's 4 or 5 problem areas.
I have an answer to it.
Go ahead.
let's hear it.
Go ahead.
don't find out about it if you're not going to do something about it ahead
All
of
right,
time.
this is a good answer.
Yeah,
I'm
I like
not-
that.
You know, if so, you know, and I'm not saying don't disclose and all of this stuff, but don't start, you know,
Right.
trying to pick apart your house if you're not going to be fixing it and changing it and doing what the inspector.
Because it is what it is,
knows.
right?
It is what it is, and yes, of course, once you do that and you know about any type of defect, I'm gonna have to disclose it.
Yeah.
Right.
And of course, I would want to disclose it. I'm very transparent. And,
Yep,
You know
yep.
that's important with an agent too. But yeah,
But no, that's a good point there. In this market, which is a seller's market, they might surface at the buyer's home inspection, but
sure.
the buyer might not even ask for it. They're so excited to finally get an offer accepted, they might not ask for the 4 or 5 things.
They may not. It may be minor. It may be something that maybe the seller can't do it, but the buyer can call in their brother-in-law and they can do it in 2 seconds. So there's different things that happen. As far as home inspections go, a lot of people are throwing out their even their opportunity, or they have the opportunity to get it, but they're throwing out their contingency for a home inspection. It's happening, I would say, at least 25 to 50% of
Wow.
the time in a lot of my deals, especially when there's a lot of competition. They will do that when they know that the house is in good shape, or they don't care because they have a contractor in the family.
But that's kind of risky.
Very
you know,
risky,
What if,
very
What
risky.
if the roof is leaking into
Sure.
the attic and they didn't, go up and see the attic during the
Yep.
showing, or
Mhm.
the furnace hasn't been cleaned in 20 years, and
Mhm.
that's not something they're going to pick up
So,
on.
It's not something they're going to pick up on. However, they're going to win the bid for the house. In the bigger grand scheme of things, if this is really the house they want, and they're going to take these actions, fixing a leak in a roof leak, or fixing or cleaning out I think you said the furnace.
Yep.
Those are things that are going to happen that are deferred maintenance that they should be able to kind of
Handle,
notice
okay.
and notice.
Right.
Anyways, and that's what comes along with home ownership. There's
Of course.
plenty of skeletons in a home, no matter if it's brand new or
Right,
not.
right.
It doesn't matter. So you've got to anticipate those things. So if you're prepared to take the blows and handle it as it comes, then
Of
why
course.
not?
See the Holzhauser house
Why not?
full of skeletons, but that's a
Oh,
story for another
man.
time there.
Oh,
But
man.
we're jumping out of order, but it's a great question there. So what, as a listing agent, because you do a lot of listing in this very busy market, what do you like to see in an offer then?
I mean, of course, it's nice to have no contingencies,
Right.
right? A cash offer,
Yeah. Above
no
asking
home
price.
inspection.
close in 7
Right.
days, no home inspection.
Right.
You don't even have to get the smokes. We'll
yeah.
do everything. Just sit back and kick up your feet and collect your check in 7 days. Those are the best ones. Very rare to
Right.
have it, but it does happen.
So let me ask
So
you
it- you
this. This is a good question. We've talked about this a little bit before. So if there's a lot of comparable offers, do you sometimes take an offer because you know the buyer's agent, and the buyer's agent's very diligent? You know the buyer's agent has vetted that buyer themselves, and you feel comfortable with that particular buyer's agent?
I want to be clear on I don't take any offers, right?
No,
Yes.
no.
So,
you
and that's
don't
a
take any
big
offers.
problem with other agents is sellers are taking the offers. We're
Yes,
here
no.
for advice, but we are not the ones running the show.
So
Right.
that's a
Some
good point.
people
So
overstep their boundaries.
right, no,
little
that's a
bit
good point.
with
So
that.
if you get 10 offers, you present that to the
Sure do.
seller and say, "Listen, this
Here's
is
what
what
you've
it
got.
is."
And if they ask you for your advice,
Yeah.
what do you think which one do you
know,
think
I'll
is the
say,
best offer?
and I'll say, we've got one that's FHA 3.5% down. You've got some chipping paint. It might become a problem. You've got someone who's putting 50% down in cash. I got verified funds here.
Duh.
You do the math. Maybe it's $5,000 less, but it's a little bit more secure. Or, So that's kind of we just educate.
There you
I
go.
don't try to sway, and
No, that's good.
Some agents are just they think they're going to bat for their clients, which is great, and you should do that. But it is in fact the seller's
Decision, of course.
No,
to
that's
make,
kind of how I.
and not the
yeah.
agent's decision. So whether or not I like someone or I like another agent, I have a lot of friends in this industry,
yeah.
thank God, and I've been very fortunate. But it should not affect the seller's
Okay,
decision.
that's
What
good
do
to
they What do they care about my relationship with someone?
Yeah, no.
Right.
We were just thinking if that buyer's agent. It was kind of one of the things we were thinking why you would need a buyer's agent.
Well.
Someone who works well with buyers, and you see that person coming in, and all of a sudden say, I feel a little bit more comfortable
Sure, it does. It does
It
make
probably,
you feel comfortable.
it probably goes into your opinion to the
It goes in the back of my brain a little bit.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
of
if
course
they're
it's
like this
going
and
to.
like this with 2 offers, and here's a broker that's never done a deal in its life, and they're comparable.
And I've got to
offers,
hold
and
their
you-
hand the entire time and
Yeah.
do all the work.
Yeah.
Or someone who's going to pull the weight, if not
So it
help.
does, yeah.
And be a good teammate on this. It certainly does help. Relationships do certainly help.
All right, so before we've even got to the office stage, you've done some major things in that seller's world. One, we've talked about this a little bit last time there, where you've kind of set them up. And actually, this is one thing a seller, you should always talk to a seller.
Poor Candace.
I
She
know.
thought she was going to come here for a nice little
No,
conversation, and you're like
we got a
peppering
lot
her
of
with.
thoughts there.
That's all right.
I have
good.
seen this
I like
lately.
it.
there
We
where-
need Tony V to come back
Oh.
and break up the seriousness.
We're
of
going to
all
be here
this.
for a while. I'm going to take off my shoes now. All right.
We've seen this lately, where a seller has agreed to list the house and got an offer so quickly they said, "Oh, I didn't know that was going to happen. I don't even want to sell at this point."
Or what? I didn't even need
What's
you.
that? Well,
Oh, they definitely do. We'll talk about that one, but
they'll say, well, if someone offered this much so fast, then let's see what else I can get.
oh yeah,
Or,
What would you do?
It's true, though. Your first offer almost always is your best
Your
offer.
offer, right?
Really?
Right.
I just say to them, there's something to be said about someone who gets into that property first, who makes sure they hustle to get an offer in. And those are the people that really love your home. And there's someone you should really pay attention to because they really put that much effort into the home and the home that you've lived in and you've loved. And clearly they love it too.
Right.
So certainly something to consider.
All right, so we touched about this a little bit last time. How early should they be calling you to do a listing?
Honestly, I want to get called 6 months ahead of time.
Okay.
Right.
If not before, because people are going to start tearing out their kitchens and their bathrooms and all
Right,
these things that maybe they don't have to do. Maybe I can just add some staging, make it look pretty, take some nice pictures, and people can kind of see what they can do. A lot of people are going to do their own granite. They're going to do stuff, their own paint colors, so I could probably save them a lot of money in all these upgrades only because it's a seller's market right now.
Right.
And you know what the buyers are looking for as far as upgrades, or you
sure.
can lead them in a different path that maybe they might have the house painted and do things that they didn't have to do.
Yeah, and usually they pick the wrong colors, and as a accredited staging professional and interior decorator and all of that fun stuff, there's nothing worse than seeing a bad color on the wall. I have to be honest with you. It's like, oh, why'd you even bother? Why did you even bother putting in the effort to paint it?
Yeah.
So and
So in
sometimes
staging,
just
you want
let it be.
like a neutral color if they are going to paint there. So.
Yeah, nice grays. Grays are in right
Gray,
now.
yeah,
Gray
you like
beige.
gray, yeah.
No, gray beige.
So I was lucky enough to see your open house. We'll talk about open houses in a second there, but you staged that very nicely for
Oh,
that open
yeah.
house. It came out
I was
very nice.
drooling. If I didn't already own a house, I wanted to be. I
That's
wanted.
sweet.
Yeah, I wanted to have that house.
Yeah.
Do you want to buy it?
Yeah, no, I just finished unpacking.
I was supposed to sell yours last week, your house. And then Rick told me you have skeletons in your house.
Yeah, exactly.
So-
What
Well,
are skeletons?
Now,
We'll
now I
have to
know it.
disclose
I
that.
might have to disclose it. That's right.
Yeah.
I don't even
So-
know about skeletons.
she's going to have about 3 pages of disclosures on
All I
her.
know is
there,
it's
so
out there now.
it's-
It's out there.
So you staged this house. This one was a little different because it was one of your investors, right?
Yep, sure
so
was.
this one was nice, and I was talking to the person who did the Matterport
Mhm.
presentation. And they said this was a perfect house to do their 3D presentation, but everything was out. It seems like you had only the not the bare minimum, but the kind of the key parts of the house there. It wasn't. You didn't have a lot of furniture in there.
No, you
right?
never want to bring in too much furniture.
Okay, so you
No,
never want.
That's a big no-no.
All
Well,
right.
you want the buyer to be able to visualize what their furniture would look like in that room.
This particular house had a lot of options. So I tried not to sway one way or the other,
Yep.
just to kind of set it up for sizing.
What do you mean
Exactly.
options? Like this could have been a dining room or a den or
Yes.
this. Okay.
Precisely, a playroom or an office.
Okay.
Yeah, 2 or
So
3 rooms like
when
that.
when that happens, I just, I make it cute, I make it cozy, put some plants in the corner, but I try not to completely define it. I want people to come in and
To make
visualize
their own
that.
decisions, right?
Yeah.
Oh, you're
The most
minimizing
important,
it, though.
the most important rooms to stage though are the living room and master bedroom for sure.
Okay.
If you have a master bedroom,
Yeah.
those are
And I saw
according to National Association
Really?
of Realtors. Those are
I would think
the most
kitchen,
important.
not really
Kitchen's after
stain-
that.
Yeah, okay.
Kitchen's after.
Just the presentation of the kitchen
Mhm.
is probably because that's usually what catches people's eye.
Cleaning is
Yeah.
the most important. Having it be nice and clean and neat. No more construction dust. Or if you're in a home that you've been in for 20 years, bring in cleaners and have them get the cabinets really clean, get the countertops really clean, declutter, get everything off of the countertops. That's really important.
Because this is the person's biggest investment of their lifetime. They're going to go through those.
You'd be amazed at how many people are like, oh, I got to do this. Oh, I got to do.
Yeah.
Do you want the
Just
money?
do it, right?
Just
it
do it.
equates to dollars.
It sure does. It
Throw
sure
a few
does.
$100s in there. So for short money, you could get some big return on it.
Big return.
So-
just to care.
so
You just
Right.
gotta care.
Your
Right.
kitchen was great. You didn't have a lot of utensils out there. You didn't have a lot of.
No.
I think I read one.
I have my plants in the window.
I like
for
your
light.
little sign, relax.
Yeah,
I like that.
yeah. I got a relaxed one, and
Yeah.
and
Yeah, you had a few good ones there. So the
Yeah.
kitchen was nicely laid out there. You had the,
relax goes across the master bedroom.
I saw that.
Yeah,
I know.
yeah.
I know.
That
I know.
was fun.
So you had some bowl of fruit that it really popped when you came in. So you
Yeah,
had kind of the neutral
that's
colors, and
awesome.
it came out nice there. So
Mhm.
let's ask you. We can come back to the staging if we have time there, but let's ask about the open house. And I know your answer to this one. We've had people debate on this. Some people are staying away from the open houses now. Believe it or
Okay.
not. Believe it or not.
And what's their reasoning?
Their reasoning is they think most people have already in their mind, and I don't agree. So
Mhm.
in their mind, most buyers have seen, like the percentage of people that have already seen it online and seen the pictures.
Well, didn't they also say? I'm sorry
No.
if I interrupted you.
She's not sorry at all.
that it attracts
I wonder if that,
neighbors.
I wonder if
that
Jonathan's
aren't-
does.
over modulation works if you start to be too disruptive.
So I guess that what they were saying, and whether we agree or not, I think that a lot of brokers have different opinions on this. But they say that it attracts nosy neighbors that have no
No interest in
anything
buying.
but what you did,
Yeah.
what you did to your home. They attracts. What else do they say?
I have arguments to that though, because
Right.
you're getting
Oh,
the
it attracts
sellers.
attracts criminals.
Oh,
They want to
yeah.
go through the medicine
Sure
cabinet.
could. Sure
But
could.
I feel like I know what your argument to that
My
is.
argument to getting the sellers in the door is I want them to see how I market a property. I want them to see how
'Cause
I
you
set
might
up
get
that
them down
property.
the
I want
road.
them to see the Matterport. I want them to see my brochures. I want them to see and meet me. I want them to see my staging. I want them to see the whole package. So I would and I do, and I invite them all to come to
But
my
the
open
other,
house.
but the other good thing is it's your listing,
Mhm.
right? And you're inviting all the neighbors in.
Mm-hmm.
If you know somebody that you would love to have in your neighborhood, right? As a neighbor, wouldn't you?
Family.
Wouldn't you call your sister or your brother
Yeah.
or your friend that lives in Connecticut? Oh, you have to come see this house. It's
Sure
right in
would.
my neighborhood, and the kids can all play together. And do you
Yep.
know what I mean? So I can see a value in having the neighbors come in.
Absolutely. And then, not doing an open house, trust me, I don't want to work on Saturdays and Sundays.
Right?
I don't.
Who does?
I don't. And if I could get out of it and have other people do it, and sometimes I can, I would more. However, that is my time to interact with everyone, to really show the house, the features, and make a lot of relationships, to be
Yeah.
honest with you. And, the house, we're getting paid a lot of money.
Yep.
The sellers deserve
Yeah.
our time.
No, you're right. You mentioned it earlier. You have a responsibility to that seller,
We do.
and if you have to use as much weaponry that you have, and open house does it. So
People started doing them on Saturdays now. So now it's Saturdays and Sundays we do it. Now we're doing a commuter on Friday. We call it, a sneak peek on Fridays, and that's pretty busy.
But
So
your
you've gotta
job is
do
to
this.
sell that house, and whether it's Friday night, Saturday, or Sunday, that's your job.
If
to
it's
sell the
not
house.
if it's not open and available, I'm not doing my job.
Yeah. But the other thing is, so you like,
Especially
you
in the
said,
beginning, that first open house is crucial.
you meet potential clients,
Mhm.
potential sellers in that neighborhood, or maybe not even in that neighborhood. But the other thing, you might meet potential buyers for,
Of course.
for
Of course.
other
I
listings that you
always do.
have,
Yeah, and I'm,
or for listings down the road.
or they come in and they're lost and they need a buyer's agent.
Yeah.
Can you help us? Sure.
Yeah.
This doesn't work for you, we'll find something else for you. Absolutely. So follow up with everyone. I'm not saying open house it to death.
Right.
either.
Because then if you see that it's open house 3 weeks in a row, what's wrong with that house, right?
For sure.
So you have to go out with a bang. It has to be staged. You have to have all your photography done, your Matterport or whatever you have done that day.
It's a formula.
Yeah.
It all has to go along my timeline that I work with, and if it doesn't, everything everything snowballs for me. I can't handle it. The world stops when I have a listing. I have to get everything done, all my marketing done a certain way in a certain time, and I have timeline crunches. And people say, "Oh, can you go to this? Can you go?" No, I've got to get this done. This is how it works, and this is the formula that's always worked for me. So,
right.
And that that open house is good because you get to critique the buyer that's coming through too, right?
it is nice being able to meet them.
Yeah.
Right.
Now
You can say, they kind of picked apart everything.
Right.
They're going to be, a nightmare maybe at inspection, or they seem to really love it.
Right.
They were a super sweet couple, and their kids were like hugging me. It's happened, especially I hand out cookies or something.
Right.
You were getting a lot of hugs that day, so
Yeah,
the
nice.
neighbors were hugging.
That's why Candace shows up at the open house.
That's why she wanted the neighbors
I love
there.
hugs.
She wanted a hug.
I do love hugs. I'll take it any day.
But it's also a good way for a buyer to judge. I noticed it. I let it go.
I was thirsty and I'm dribbling.
I know.
Sorry,
Sorry,
Jonathan.
We're not on the radio anymore. There,
That's
we
what happened
can't
to me
edit that.
last week. That's what happened to me last week.
I spilled
These
everywhere.
cups are hard to drink out of. Yeah.
All right,
Couldn't I just let it go?
You composed yourself there. So, so it's a great way for the buyers also to judge. I think what that house, if buyers are moving in and out of there, it might not be as marketable, but if you see other buyers in there, asking questions, spending some time there, as a buyer, you better get moving on your offer. Mm-hmm. If you see, 50 people in there.
It's all psychology.
I know it is.
Yeah.
Staging is all psychology. Open houses is part of the psychology of sales. It's all part of the gig.
No, I like it. I like it there. So, and you had, which I thought was very neat, and I don't see a lot of brokers doing this, the Matterport 3D presentation.
Right.
That was actually pretty cool, and you can actually put that on your Facebook link, evidently.
Yep. I had it up. I marketed the Matterport. What Matterport is a walkthrough video. There's actually special glasses you can put on, but you don't even have to. It's a 3D video that you can physically walk through the property. In every single room, you can turn to the right. You can turn to the left.
You can
see
blow
what's
it up. You can blow it up too,
you
right?
can zoom in.
Yeah.
You can zoom
the
out.
Floor plan.
Now, is this good for every property? Probably not.
Right.
Especially if not every corner is perfect or
Right.
cleaned out or something
you're
like
right.
that. But for a property that's perfectly staged and really pretty and brand new, it's nice to have people be able to walk through.
How awesome
and
would that
peruse.
be? As
You
someone,
can buy it from China.
I was just going to say, someone relocating.
Well, right. They're in
Love it.
California. They
Yeah.
see your listing. They before they even get to the open house or before they have a private showing, they know how the layout, and they know if there's something that they can't live with, like a garage not attached to the house, or you know what I mean, or
Sure.
the mud room. There is no mud room.
Happens a lot. The husband's traveling or the wife's traveling.
But they know exactly. They know the closets. They know where the bathrooms are. They know, and it's different than pictures.
the way
don't
the
you think?
faucet is, the way the tub turns, anything. Yeah,
You don't have to
it's
be
really
really tech savvy. There's a little play button. You just hit
No.
the button, and it will walk you through the whole property.
It really is.
It was pretty
awesome.
cool.
It's a very cool tool.
Yeah.
It is awesome. And what's really great, I hate to plug Century 21 on purpose, but what's nice
No, you
is
can.
we're international. So you literally can be overseas or, wherever.
And you put it on your website.
And I do. And we're in 79 countries,
Wow.
so to be able to use Matterport to help these people and save them the flight sometimes is really great.
No, it's an awesome feature. Drones, we talked about that. You use that on a lot of your
I
houses.
had a gentleman who thought the drone was outside. The noise of the drone was the electric pole transformer.
yeah.
He thought the transformer was gonna explode.
That is annoying.
And I was like, "Oh my gosh, show me!" And then I was like, "Oh, it's the drone." He's
Yeah.
like, "Oh, thank God. Okay, all right, great."
So that whole
That's a
open
good
house
story.
was awesome. Any tips for people that are conducting open houses? We already know some. You gotta take all the medicine out of the medicine cabinet.
Sure.
Right. Hide jewelry.
You might want to put away the guns. I know, call me.
Right.
Might want to.
You might, yeah.
Lord.
I know there's a lot of information here.
Well, that's all part of the staging. Like,
Yeah.
you know, if your house is staged properly, that stuff won't be around.
I had someone who had a plunger that was shaped like a shotgun next to their bed before.
perfect.
Yeah. So I
Perfect.
said, you're going to have to put that away. They're like, oh, yeah, we'll put it in the bathroom. I'm like,
No. Back
no.
in the closet.
And they're like, no. They're like, look closer. It's a plunger?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
That's gross.
Yeah.
Next to their bed.
Yeah.
No less.
No,
Yeah.
that was
Long story
that house
on that.
is what you would want to have it. You want it almost like as a, and we've talked about this as a like a 5-star, hotel where you don't have
Right.
the toothpaste out. You don't
No.
have the tissue boxes there. It has something that you can really envision that you live there. There's no photos. There's no
Not that you live there, that the buyers can come in.
absolutely,
there. Yeah.
absolutely,
Right, yeah.
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So other
Depersonalized
suggestions,
completely.
you want to get probably all the sellers' cars out of the driveway. You don't even want them to see their cars.
Vans,
Right.
RVs,
Right.
trailers, anything like
Your
that.
in-laws' camper
Camper,
that they're living in
Eddie-
your driveway.
Cousin Eddie's trailer. Get that out of there. Even if
Yeah.
he's visiting for Christmas, get rid of it.
Personalized welcome mats. I mean,
Pets
pets. No,
are
no.
big. Those
Yeah.
really should. You really got to try hard to disperse them somewhere or bring them with you in the
Oh,
car during a showing or during
Yeah.
the open house. I know it's hard with cats and such, but to try to take the dog, take the litter box, please. Take those things out of there.
And people, you almost
Put
have.
your crates down in the basement
yeah,
or out in the
make sure.
backyard.
Yeah, make sure it doesn't.
So you got to
smell,
warn
yeah.
the sellers that
I don't even want anyone to see the crates. I don't want
Right,
them to
that's
see
what I
the
mean.
dog
Right.
bowls. I don't want this. Some people are allergic. Some people just don't like pets. They might be serial killers. But either way, how do you not like a pet, right? But either way, it's just a theory.
You just threw that in there, whether
I
we were
did. I
paying
had
attention
to.
or not,
I had
right?
to.
I had to stop and think about that one first.
No, I understood that.
Tony V would have loved that.
Yeah.
I think they should be on the watch list if they don't like pets. But no, it's you need to really be. I know it's an inconvenience. You're not selling your house all the time. Do what you got to
It's a
do.
total
All right, so this is
Make
what
it
you got to
work.
do
A
for.
lot of people are allergic too, so
Right.
be considerate. and
All right, so
courteous.
for those open houses where you got to get or showings, you got to get that seller right out of the house. I think next year you should hire a limo bus.
Oh my
What's
goodness.
this
What?
all about?
What?
Oh my, I was waiting and I was
What?
thinking, no, he's gonna let it go.
What?
He's
It's
gonna
just
let
a
it go, but-
hypothetical. We'll talk after the show there. But
Yeah, Rick
Yeah.
has 2018.
I've heard
is
about
gonna
it,
be-
but
oh,
I
yeah.
had no idea how it was going to come into play.
All
He's
right.
gonna pick up the family
Yeah.
and the dog,
yeah,
the kids, the
just
mother,
drive
the
around
father.
for a couple
and
hours
he's gonna
while you
bring
do
him
the.
down to like Jordan's Furniture, to like the Enchanted Village, or
What?
and he's
It's a
gonna
home
entertain
run.
them.
It's a home run of an idea.
And they're gonna say Candace had.
Your attorney's a whack job. That's what
Yeah.
No,
they're
they're
gonna
not
say.
gonna know you're their attorney.
No, you can't even tell them.
I know.
I will not tell them
What a
who you
surprise
are.
at closing. You look familiar.
Candace
You gonna
had
wear a
us picked
tuxedo?
up in a limo and whisked us away
I think
for the
we're on to
entire
something. All right.
the entire open.
I like
house.
how you two are thinking right now, and I might have to go with it. You love that idea.
Oh boy!
all right.
I wonder if we should end on that.
I'm
note.
gonna call you for all my transportation needs.
All right.
Aside
all right.
from
All right.
that, now that I know that
No,
you've got
that's
some
that's.
sort of
I love the
limo
two
bus.
the ideas you guys have come up with
We'll,
today. I'm running
we'll
with.
extrapolate on that.
All right, so we'll just wrap up. So I know we spent a lot of time on the open house and staging there, but
Because we love that
we
stuff.
love that stuff. So to wrap it up, so once an offer is signed, you want to make sure you get any of your key or all your key terms into that. If it's subject to you finding a house or subject to whatever, that seller should get that in the offer because it's a binding contract,
Mhm.
right? And usually attorneys don't review the offers. We review the purchase and sale. So you want to make sure all the offers get all the terms in. You want to make sure those terms get put into the purchase and sale. And then we get to the closing, and then you as the closing attorney's office is going to ask them for a checklist of things you want. You want to have paid water and light bills if it's a municipal water and light bill
A smoke certificate,
dated within 60
60 days from
Yeah,
the
that's the
department.
agent's job. The agent
Yep,
should be able
yep.
to take
So
care of that.
You would be surprised.
You'd be surprised.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's 2 days before closing. Why would I have to ask for it? I do.
Yeah.
But why would I have to ask for that?
Maybe she shouldn't be asking that tone, but
You can't tell the tone in email.
yeah.
Yeah.
A deed. We need a deed. Surprise! That we get that a lot.
We already have our deed.
We have a deed.
Why do we need another
I bought it
deed?
in
Why would we have to pay
1972.
for
Here's
another
my
deed?
copy.
Mhm.
So you have to have a deed. You got to get the commission statements over to the closing attorney. You got to get your payoff information.
Yep. You have to give your authorization for
Yeah.
somebody to call for
And
your
you'll probably have
payoff.
to share.
The amount of work that you guys do from
Yeah.
a legal perspective, I
Yeah.
know it can change, once it starts getting difficult if there's clouds on the title
Yeah,
and
yeah.
such. But for the amount of work you do to close out the loan
Yep.
and represent a buyer or seller,
Yeah.
it's so inexpensive.
Yeah. No, you're
And
right.
it's
You're right.
a shame for anyone to not use an attorney,
Oh.
to be honest.
Right.
know?
This is why we have Candace back.
She
It's-
loves hugs.
it is.
Give her a
It's-
hug.
I
It's
know-
a shame. No, it really is. It's
Now I
a
know
lot
why
of
all
people
the
don't
neighbors are
want
coming
to.
by hugging you.
And you say you have to say you don't have to, but geez, why wouldn't you?
I know.
Well, the amount of investment, if you're putting more than $4,000 or $5,000 of
I-
your own hard-earned money into that home, why wouldn't you protect yourself?
I think they're just not thinking. I think they're just not trusting anybody. They're nervous. They've got all these things going on in their head. They read some forum online, maybe, who knows, or Uncle Joe at Thanksgiving
Oh yeah.
told them
Yeah.
everything they needed to
Yeah,
know.
you don't
Oh,
need
yeah.
an attorney and you don't need
We've
owner's
had
title
that.
insurance, but that's a
Yeah.
whole nother ball of wax.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
do need owner's title insurance,
Yeah,
even though
you
it's
sh-
optional.
Why would you ever not get it?
So if you were going to get an attorney,
I think that I would call Attorney Rick Carter. He has two offices, one in Londonderry, New Hampshire, and one in Reading, Mass.
do they have a phone number?
Absolutely. It's 781-944-9222. But don't ask for me. I'll be busy.
Drinking her water, as you
I
can
love
see earlier. Candace,
Yes.
what's your contact information?
All right. So Candace Pagliarulo, Century 21 North Shore, and 781-670-SOLD, 7653.
Nice.
What-
Or my email, c21candace.com.
This has been a great show.
Yeah.
I know why you guys always get hugs all over the place there, so I appreciate you coming back. You're the first one we've ever had 2 weeks in a row.
Wow.
So maybe she can be a permanent.
Yeah.
I would
Permanent.
love it.
Well, because Tony V's not here anymore, so we need a
She's
new
a
picture.
lot better than, yeah. Tony
Better looking
V.
than
Candace
Tony.
Tony V
Yeah.
is going to be on
I like
extended vacation. Thanks for joining
Sorry,
us here.
Tony. Bye.
Thanks for joining us here on Real Estate House Party. Thank you to our studio audience. You guys have been awesome. Sean, thank you. You guys are great. Jonathan, thank you. We'll see you next time.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.